Cool. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners agenda for a meeting for February the 5th, 2019. I'm John Hutchings. I'm the chair of the board. To my left is Vice Chair Gary Edwards. To my right is Commissioner Ty Menser. To his right is La Bonita Bomar, the clerk of the board. To her right is County Manager Ramiro Chavez. To his right is Assistant County Manager and Finance Director Robin Campbell. And to her right is Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Elizabeth Petrich, who keeps us out of trouble. So with that, there we go. I'm going to ask Gary Edwards, or his delegate, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm going to ask Greg Moe to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes, thank you.
I do not have a copy of the
Agenda? We just need a copy of the agenda for Commissioner Edwards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I would look for an approval of the today's agenda.
I would so move.
A second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. We have an agenda. Thank you. A motion for the meeting minutes of January 29, 2019.
I would so move for January 29th, 2019.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Now the fun part. We have a proclamation for African American History Month. And who is going to, is someone going to present that, or not present it, but frame it?
Thank you, Commissioners. It is my pleasure to introduce and ask Mr. Alonjo T'Challa to come to the podium, please. He is the owner of Alafia. That's a company, a manufacturing company located in Tumwater. So I'm sure if you can give us a perspective, a little bit of feedback, what is your company all about?
Well, thank you. Happy New Year. I think we're already in February.
Does that, Alonjo, does that go up any further? That microphone?
Yeah, maybe I should take off my high heels.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank you, sir.
We can make sure that you can hear me, or the county can hear me.
Yeah, the whole county.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and thank you, commissioners. Alafia, I think, represent what these history, or this month represent as a African American history. And to me, when we think of Alafia, we talk about justice for all. I come from Togo in West Africa, a small country. And when we talk about justice or economic opportunities, it's a little bit different there. But let's step back a little bit. I ended up in the state of Washington in 1998. And I met my wife, who is from Eastern Washington. So this is home to me. I first went to school in Wenatchee. And I can tell you, by that time, I already dropped out of school at 6th grade. And when I went to Wenatchee Valley College, I was quite surprised, how can it be a nation or a state where the lights come on when you go to school? And so this is a great state. It still is. Long story short, I realized that people like me that have opportunity that was given to me in this country to get education, I need to do the same. Not only for people back home, but for people here. But I also believe that in order to achieve equality, we needed to do things a little bit different. We have to use it through business, in my view. And that led my wife and myself to create what's called Alafia. So what is Alafia? Alafia then is to create jobs for the people that wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to have jobs. Because without a job, without an income, I don't believe there's a democracy. So we do this by forming cooperatives in Togo in West Africa, and today we're in our 16th year. We start with just about 30 women, and between Togo and Ghana, we have over 14,000 people that provide the raw ingredients that come to our Olympia facility in this county. So the idea is then is to provide jobs for the people, particularly for the women that cannot read or write. With assuming that by having that job, they can send their children to school Because me being able to go to school in the state of Washington, I know what that means. But you can't bring everybody from Africa to go to school in Washington, especially these days. So, what does it mean on this side? On this side, people need jobs too. And for us to be able to create jobs here, meaning manufacturing, with our facility here, we have about 140 people in this county that works for Alafia. But the biggest impact is the materials that we buy within the state. So between Oregon and the state of Washington, we spend over $2 million buying local ingredients. So again, what is Alafia is be able to do business in a way that is care for the poor, so the poor can rise. It's also to do business in places like our state that people can have stable income. Because I believe both communities need to be able to benefit. As many of you may be aware, that's the business part. Within the business, I believe you got to take money that rise out of the conduct of business to put back into the community. That's where the moral aspect of Alafia comes to. So we use up to 10% of our sales to invest in the community empowerment project. So first step, we got to create jobs. And then we need to invest in the long-term empowerment project, just like the state of Washington invests in my education. So now, today, I think what it really means for us to be able to do this for both our states and towns across the globe is because I feel included in our county. Without feeling included, I wouldn't be able to have a business here or provide jobs for 140 people and beyond. And to be in this history, African American History Month, I see as not only racial inclusion, but economic inclusion, and above all, for our neighbors and friends. And not much looking how much colorful outfit you wear to still consider you as one of the family. So I think that's fundamentally necessary in a place like our county to be inclusive, and I thank the commissioner for continuing to fight for that inclusion. There are many more children and youngsters like myself that have not yet to arrive in this nation that I believe will be contributing to the economy of this nation and our state, and particularly our county. But they need to feel at home, and I feel at home, and thank you for that.
Don't leave. No, you're not going anywhere just yet. I would like to introduce, I call him ambassador, but he's not. He is an ambassador for Alafia, and that is Stephen Daniels Brown, the Government and External Affairs for Alafia. If you wouldn't mind coming up as well.
Yes, Stephen.
Thank you all for being, and you bring the ambassador to Togo here. Tell us what you do.
Well, Oluwanjo did. I just helped. Oluwanjo's good friends with Ambassador David Gilmore in Togo, and a lot of what Alafia does involves diplomatic affairs. They're dealing with many countries in West Africa, and so it's been very important for Alafia to establish good relationships with both U.S. ambassadors and foreign embassies as well. So that's been my role to help in a little way their mission move forward.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, Alonjo, again, what does Alafia mean, or Alafia mean?
The meaning of, thank you. The meaning of Alafia means health and peace.
Okay.
And that's what we strive for.
And Commissioner Edwards and I have been on the tour of Alafia, but we have a slightly used commissioner now. It's already February,
yes,
who has not benefited from the tour yet. And so we'll have to hook him up, or Stephen will have to hook him up. Someone hook him up with a tour down there. Can you just briefly touch on the bicycle program that you do?
Yes. I have a lot that I want to say, but Stephen warned me and said you have 10 minutes, and you do all of us a favor if you stay below 10 minutes. Now that the boss is telling
I'll take the blame. That's my fault. Yeah.
Yes. I'll be happy to be on this floor all day long. Thank you. The bicycles are very important in many different ways. Right now, we have close to 10,000 bicycles in circulation in Togo. And when I say in circulation, that means the bicycles that we collect in the state of Washington and a little bit in Oregon, and after selling the product, we ship those used bicycles to our distribution center in Togo. Why the bicycle, we must ask? The reason is we look what can Alafia do in the immediate term that will have the greatest impact. And that is we need to get young girls to school. We realize that about 40 to 50% of the girls who drop out in the rural area in Togo. But you can't change the whole economic makeup or the whole society. There are many reasons that led to that kind of dropout. But we also know that there's no way a country or a peaceful area can exist when half of the youngsters are dropping out. But what we do know that we could do as an immediate impact is to provide bicycles, transportation. Most places in West Africa, and particularly in Togo, you don't have buses taking you to school. So you have to walk. And we came to understood 16 years ago is that walk that makes many drop out. I did it myself. And I can tell you it's not pleasant when it's 105 to have to walk 5 or 10 miles each day. You don't want to go. In fact, if I should tell you the truth, you sit under a tree until it's time to come back home because you don't want to go far. And when you don't learn, you drop out. So we make a priority to give the bicycles to young girls. And what we notice, because everything that we do, like I always say, come by the dollars is not easy. That means the money that Alafia put to those bicycles, so we have to measure. And when we measure, we realize that 90% of those girls will stay in school simply by having bicycles, nothing else. Wow. As opposed to 50% dropping out rate. And again, be able to have the volunteers, the communities in our county, in our state, be able to help with that. It means that we're getting youngsters to gain education. Because we all know once you have that education, you can't take it away.
Right, yeah.
So it's a process for being able to have a job, and you have to have education first.
Wow.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments?
No, you know, about the only thing I would say, Alonjo, is, you know, here you are today, and we're recognizing your accomplishments along with many others, but our founding fathers consisted of a gentleman from Africa by the name of Bush. And so we've had a great history of African Americans coming here and started this whole county. Yes. So back in, you all know of the Bush Prairie, and so a little more history to even put into your story sometimes, because you've been well represented. Let's just put it that way.
Well, thank you. I feel
and thank you for coming.
I feel at home.
Questions, comments?
Just, I've never had a chance to meet you, but I've heard about you from many sources, especially folks from our Economic Development Council. Talked to me about the programs and your business, so I was really excited to have the chance to hear straight from you, and I'd love to take a tour sometime of your plant.
Well, you'll be most welcome.
Thanks.
And not only empowering women, but you're changing, in Togo, you're changing their occupation and saving young ones from dropping out of school. And I think it was the Tumwater Education Foundation just put out information a week or two ago, just last week, that when someone drops out of school, they are 347 more times more likely to be homeless, and they're 7 more times likely to go to jail. So you're doing something very powerful, at least in Togo. We're trying to, I guess, present that or prevent that from happening here. Yes. And propagate kids from not dropping out of school. So thank you very much for coming, and we have a proclamation that Commissioner Edwards is going to read.
We do. I might add, just think what the world would be like if we had more ambassadors like yourself. I think of like what you're doing and simple processes. They're not simple if you organize them, but like the foreign exchange students and things like that. Yes. Just think what we could do for world peace if we could get more involvement like this, like what you're doing every day in your business too.
Well, thank you, and I think we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, a proclamation from Thurston County, African American History Month. Whereas during African American History Month, the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development are celebrated. And whereas in 1976, Black History Month was formally adopted to honor and affirm the importance of Black history, advance the cause of civil rights, and strengthen families, communities, and the nation. And whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a noted Black scholar and son of former slaves, founded the Association of the Study of African American Life and History, and initiated Negro History Week in 1926. And whereas African Americans have played a significant role in the history of the nation and Washington State's economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development, and whereas as a result of their determination, hard work, and perseverance, African Americans have made valuable and lasting contributions to our community and the state, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, and the arts. And whereas a study of African American life and history,
Found it.
2019's theme, Black Migrations, emphasizes the movement of people of African descent to new destinations and subsequently to new social realities. Now, therefore, as be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaim February as African American History Month in Thurston County and urge all citizens to recognize the continued need to battle racism and to build a society that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. Adopted this 5th day of February 2019, signed by your Board of County Commissioners.
There you go. Now, we'll come down and we'd like you to come up along with Steve and we'll get the photo taken.
Thank you.
He is taller than you, yeah. He's taller.
Short guys downstairs.
Downstairs.
That's why you don't want to be a commissioner. You can't be taller than the commissioner himself.
Can I go for the proclamation?
Oh, yes, that back in.
And does your camera go that high?
All right, 1, 2, 3. Let's get one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we have a basket that we gotta share because we realize we don't got enough color here, so we bought some more baskets.
We'll let you fight over the baskets afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Exactly.
Has color.
Thank you so much.
It's a beautiful basket, isn't it?
Yeah, and the colors, my wife loves this royal blue.
Well, I think my mom's going to get this next month. That's beautiful.
I guess this
Thank you so much.
Romero is
Yeah, we're not cops anymore. It's legal. All right, moving right along, we are at the point in the agenda where it's the opportunity for the public to address the Board of County Commissioners. And so, thank you. I'm going to do a little bit of rule explanation here, because there's some guidelines governing the comments. This, again, is the opportunity for the public to address the board. This is not meant for mutual engagement, discussion. It's your opportunity for us to be quiet and listen. The board does not respond to public comment, and as a on the need basis, the county manager will follow up with specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 3 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for a good cause. Please silence your cell phones. No comments that are lewd or offensive to a reasonable person. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as a promotion for a for-profit business. No comments that are inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory. Remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal. And all materials provided to the county may be considered public records subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW. And thank you for your cooperation. Did you have any others, Romero?
Nope.
Okay.
I think you covered it. Thank you.
So what I will do is, you're given 3 minutes, and Labanita Bomar, the clerk of the board, she holds the official timer, and she'll start it at 3, and it gets down to 0, and you'll hear a chime that indicates your time is over, or time is up. And what I'll do is I will call the first speaker up, and then mention the name, or call the next person up to be in the batter box, and here we go. The first one is Scott Bannister, followed by Micah Anderson. Good afternoon, sir. Please state your name and your address for the record.
I'm Scott Bannister from Yelm, Washington. Would you like my full address?
No, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, commissioners and everyone here today. I'm here representing the people of Thurston County and the people of Washington State and Washington 3%. As you all know, we've been up at the White House, or the Capitol, fighting for our rights, our gun rights, and our First Amendment rights. And they've passed 1639, and we're going from county to county to put a Second Amendment preservation ordinance together for the people. I had a meeting with our sheriff already. I know he's in Washington today. 2 weeks, I believe on the 18th, we already have an appointment for an official special meeting, I believe, with you. I'm just here today to present this to you for a heads up, which we're going to be presenting. We feel that it's a good thing. It's the people, and we know that our commissioners work for the people. And I know two of you yourselves have both been in law enforcement all your life, so our country is in dire straits right now. And we, the people, need to take our republic back. It's been overthrown by the Bar Association. They've corrupted our entire wave of our judicial system. You also have a copy of a redress of a grievance that I've served last Monday to our local 2nd District representatives and senator. I've been following up with them yesterday, and every day it's going to take for them to listen and do their job, because our legislators work for the people. And I hope that you will consider this and get back to us anytime that you need to. But like I said, we'll be back on the 18th. And I thank you very much. I will take any questions if you have any of them.
Nope, not time for us to engage.
Okay.
But thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
God bless.
Thank you.
Mike Anderson, followed by Robert Green.
Howdy, Micah Anderson,
Hi.
Olympia, Washington, and I support Scott's ordinance he proposed. And I just want to share with you some readings from AM Jurisprudence. And this is the 16th, AM Jurisprudence 2nd, volume 16, which is the constitutional section. This is with regards to the law of the land. The general misperception is that any statute passed by legislators bearing the appearance of law constitutes the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And any statute to be valid must be an agreement. It is impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. All laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. Where rights are secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking and no legislation which would abridge them. An unconstitutional act is not a law. It confers no right. It imposes no duty, affords no protection. It creates no office. It is inoperative, as if it was never had been passed. The general rule is that an unconstitutional statute, though having the form and name of a law, is really no law, but is wholly invalid and ineffective for any purpose, since declared unconstitutionally dates from the time of enactment, and not merely from the date or decision so branded. No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it. And if you're not aware, Washington State's Constitution, Article 1, subsection 24, reads as follows. Right to bear arms. The right of an individual citizen to bear arms in defense of himself or the state shall not be impaired. Now, impaired is a much stronger word than infringed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Robert Green, followed by John Pettit.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Green, and I live in Olympia, Washington. I'm here on behalf of the PTO president at LP Brown Elementary School, and this is a letter from the president. Megan Green, as president of the LP Brown PTO, I am writing on behalf of the members. I am writing concerning a particular property located at 1904 26th Avenue, Northwest Olympia, Washington, which sits directly next to LP Brown Elementary School. This property has been vacant for years, with no maintenance being done, which suggests that the property owner does not have a vested interest in either the structure, the land itself, or the surrounding community. Due to the lack of occupants and no homeowner oversight, the garbage and debris piled up outside, the weeds have completely taken over the house and the yard. As time has gone on, ever so often, random people have been spotted loitering outside of the house. This is a concern, or this is concerning, as there is no way to tell who these people are or what they are doing. My view is this house is a safety threat to our children, which our PTO would like to see happen would be for the county and the school district to work together to come to a solution. Ideally, we want the county to coordinate with the Olympia School District to remove the dangerous debris from the community and repurpose it for the needs of both the school and the community that it's a part of. Our suggestion would be to turn the property into a small parking lot. This would help both the school and the neighborhood. As any neighbor of the LP Brown can tell you, our school parents and themselves and parent pickup in the afternoon or during special events at the school, parking is extremely limited and bleeds over into the narrow two-lane street, creating a traffic safety hazard. The county recently installed flexible delineator posts across the street from the school to stop people from parking in the ditch. Given that the county has put these up, it is clear that county officials know that this is an ongoing traffic problem in the area. By creating a small parking lot, it would help alleviate some of the congestion by encouraging parents to park and walk to the front door to pick up their children. At the same time, it would allow for more parking during the school events, thus keeping some cars off narrow streets, which would in turn help facilitate good relationships with the neighborhood. On a personal note, I've been an LP Brown parent for 4 years. I remember noticing this house when my daughter first started attending school at LP. Sadly, obviously, nothing has changed for the better, and the property has only gotten worse and has continued to deteriorate. I wish I would have known sooner which agency to contact to make my concerns known. I and all the PTO members look forward to seeing what actions will be taken to help remedy this problem. Signed, thank you, Megan Green, President LP Brown, PTO. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Green,
Could I have a copy of the
what was
letter?
that address, 1904?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me
Again?
for you. 1904 26th Avenue Northwest.
26,
Olympia.
got it.
Could I have a copy of the letter, please?
If you could make a copy, and then I can get the original back. Is
Yeah.
that possible? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. John Pettit, followed by Terry Ballard.
My name is John Pettit. I live at 9725 Rich Road, Southeast Olympia, Washington. I think one of the things that you should look out here at first is realize that with a county of 250,000 people, people don't even want to take their time to come and make comments. Now, I saw something as one of the reasons why, if I was a typical person, I wouldn't want to make comment either. This last week, I saw a friend of mine, Mr. Terry Ballard. He came and made a comment. He made a comment a couple weeks before that. And then basically what he was done was addressed by your county manager that I need to have some more information about this. Well, it was more of a challenge from the appearance standpoint. It was more a challenge that it was providing a question whether about the reliability of the information that Mr. Ballard had provided. That should never happen. Very unprofessional. If he wanted to know more information, he could have done it, picked up the phone and called, written a letter. But to wait a couple extra weeks in order to wait until Mr. Ballard would show up again to another meeting, to challenge him, to basically degrade him or cause him to be questioned, completely unacceptable. That is abuse. County policy says abuse is an element which in fact can even lead to being dismissed. Now, I wrote a little email, absolutely no response back to Mr. Ballard or apology for it. You know, I have conveyed to you before about some issue about staff. Nobody likes to hear that maybe staff doesn't provide you good information. Well, what Mr. Ballard had presented previously, I'd provided over 2 years ago to Mr. Chavez. But he needed more information. He didn't need more information. He wanted to intimidate a person from coming up and making public comment. That is the exact opposite of what we stand for in this country. If you find that to be acceptable, keep them. If not, you need to get rid of them. It only takes one time, because this is what you see now. This isn't what you're seeing elsewise. Why isn't there contact? Well, we're taking a more design of staff versus the people to convince the commissioners to spend money. They embarrassed you a couple weeks ago by having you suggested $300 million for a facility. Now we're going to protect staff by not enforcing laws for them to remain truthful. If you have questions, you can address them to me. I have all the facts. I won't give them to you. I'll present them to the office because I trust the commissioners will actually get it if I put it over there. Thank you.
All right, next up is Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Terry Ballard. I reside in Tanglewild, own 2 properties in Tanglewild, which is unincorporated Thurston County, and sorry to say, one property in the town of Olympia. So I'm a pretty major taxpayer. I last spoke, and I spoke about the Capitol Mall being costing twice the Capitol Mall with 167,000, okay, costing twice of a $316 million dollar property that we're going to, make our county courthouse. Well, let me tell you, I'm into land. I was into government land. Usually you get usually you have a plan. Then you decide on the plan. Then you have 3 bids on that plan, and then you go with the lowest person to build. You never have a ultimate cost, okay? You always want to build it for the cheapest and the best price. And then you go for land, and you have adequate things about land, okay? About how much all the land surrounding costs. We seem to have a problem like that in Thurston County. Since I always need proof, here's the proof. Next is I spoke about something that the manager decided to renege. Well, I believe it wasn't over the content, it was over some other content. And I have something for the prosecutor's office, because I've gone to the prosecutor office and put my name in there to have them call me or whatever, because I need to discuss some major things that go on. Problem between a city and the county is the county doesn't appoint the prosecutor. It is an elected official. County doesn't appoint a sheriff. It's an elected official. In the city of Olympia, that's an appointment by the city manager, both of those. So basically, the city manager is using kind of like the spouse's lawyer in divorce court. I had two resolutions. I have one that I read here about the veterinarian services for transmission of diseases. That's false. They don't have their own. There's the data, okay? And they made official misconduct by trying to acquire land for their own use, and they have done so, okay? One of the councilmen have done so. So here's for you, and here's for the county commissioner. And as far as the treatment process and everything, that's going to have to close at a different date. I would like to read something about the
proclamation. Is this quick? Is your time's expired? Is this quick, Terry?
Can I read something about
Is it quick is what I'm asking. Is it quick?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
George W. Bush, 1790 to 1863, was a key leader of the first group of American citizens to settle north of the Columbia River in what we call now Washington. Bush was a successful farmer in Missouri, but as a free African American in a slave state, he faced increasing discrimination and decided to move west. In 1844, Bush and a good friend, Michael T. Simmons, a white Irish American, led their families and three others over the Oregon Trail. When they found that racial exclusion laws had preceded them and barred Bush from settling south of the Columbia River, they settled on Puget Sound, becoming the first Americans to do so. Bush established a successful farm near present day in Olympia on land that is now known as the Bush Prairie. Thank you.
Beautiful. Great footnote.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all that of the folks that have signed up. Is there anybody in the audience or in the gallery that would like to address the board that has not signed up? Going, gone. Thank you very much. That concludes the public comment portion. We're moving on to item number 2 on the agenda, the county manager's update.
Thank you, commissioners. Let me just highlight some of the meetings that you participated this past week. On the Thursday, January 31st at 10 in the morning, you had a follow-up on the Courthouse Civic Center project, where the different stakeholders, elected officials from the county as well as the city of Olympia attended. And as a result of you making the decision as to where the next potential new courthouse will be located, there was a good discussion in terms of the communication approach, and also a good discussion in terms of having a consistent message related to this particular project. Yesterday, February the 4th, on Monday, 10:45 in the morning, you also had a meeting with department directors as well as elected officials here in the county, where you received some comments related to the budget process. I believe the budget process was, well thought out, and you received some good comments. Staff facilitated that conversation, and we will bring what we heard yesterday as an opportunity as to how you can improve the process as we move into the 2019, 2021, in 2019, 2020, 2021 budget process. That's all I have for you.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or comments for the county manager?
No.
Okay. That takes us to item 3 on the agenda, the consent items A through F. Is there a motion?
Thank you.
I would move that we approve consent items A through F.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent items, approve the consent items A through F. We had one moved. Did that get moved? Okay, that's what I'm trying to scan. That's why I'm getting off cue here. Okay, thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Number 4, emergency services, purchase of Dell servers and associated software for Medic One. And we have Kurt Harden in the house.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I'm here to request that the Board of County Commissioners approve the purchase of 2 Dell servers with accompanying licenses and warranties for a total cost of $136,659.03. In 2018, the EMS patient charting software that's used throughout the county was replaced. The current servers are old and cannot appropriately handle the new system. As an example, the patient charting software was utilized over 34,000 times for dispatching for EMS calls in 2018. This current project that's being requested was approved by the ITC subcommittee and the overall ITC committee. The Dell servers are on the Department of Enterprise Services master contract list, which is part of the county procurement policy. And the auditor's office and prosecuting attorney's office have reviewed the purchase of the service and concur it falls within the county procurement policy. The server replacement project is in the 2019 approved budget and comes from the Medic One Fund. And this does align with Initiative 5, which is strengthen emergency medical services provided countywide by Medical One and area hospitals in the county strategic plan. Also, a communications plan, including social media, will be utilized to inform the public and stakeholders on how the Dell servers improve EMS capability. Subject to your questions, I request the approval of the request.
Questions, comments?
No questions, sir.
No questions.
No, thank you. So is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve a resolution allowing the purchase of 2 Dell servers with accompanying licenses and warranties for a total cost of $136,659.03. Dell has a contract through NASPO Value Point listed with the Washington State Department of Enterprise Services, and to authorize the Emergency Services Director to sign the agreement, contract, to purchase this equipment and any changes that do not amend the funding or duration of the agreement contract.
Second that motion.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
That motion carries. Thank you, Kurt. Number 5, Commissioners and County Manager items. This is the Public Defense budget increase for fiscal year 2018. Robin?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. And this afternoon, I am requesting that you authorize the County Manager to transfer funds to the Public Defense budget to be able to pay all of the invoices that we've received from them from vendors for 2018. As you know, we closed the fiscal year at the end of February, and during the month of January, all invoices received from the county are charged to the prior year depending on when the county received the services. Public Defense has received invoices in excess of their appropriation authority for 2018. When the board adopts a budget, one of the things that we do every year is put a clause in the budget that should we find ourselves in this situation, that the board can authorize the county manager to transfer unspent appropriation from non-departmental to any office and department within the general fund. So that's what I'm asking you to do today, is to authorize that transfer. Now, I do have a note. At the time the agenda was written, we estimated that public defense would need an additional $70,000. But today at noon, I got a note from public defense that says that they need less. So that's a very good thing. I would ask that you amend this motion to transfer $60,000 rather than the 70 as written. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions?
No, I have no questions, but I do have a comment before I make a motion.
Do you have a question? Any question? Okay, I don't either. Go ahead.
Just that there might seem some confusion out there because the verbiage put together here already has a number. I will be stating that number, and then we'll make the proper amendments. I would move to authorize the county manager to distribute $70,000 to the Office of Public Defense from the general fund non-departmental in accordance with Thurston County Resolution 15560 as adopted on December 17th, 2017.
I would move to amend that motion to adjust the $70,000 to $60,000.
And I would second that friendly amendment.
It's been moved and seconded, and then amended and seconded. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the amendment carries, and now you make the motion
Okay. Then
for the
now,
60.
Okay.
That's right.
Let me restate this. We'll get it right.
Was amended.
I would move to authorize the county manager to distribute $60,000 to the Office of Public Defense from general fund non-departmental in accordance with Thurston County Resolution 15560 as adopted on December 17th, 2017.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. And is there any discussion?
No.
Nope. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
5B, that's the approval of the BoCC work session summaries. This is the one we had removed from consent calendar because Commissioner Menser wasn't here in 2018 to approve these things. So is there a motion?
Is that where we're not going to go into any explanation on this, apparently?
Don't need to.
Don't
Just
need to, okay.
Notes.
I would move to approve the Board of County Commissioners work session summaries for March 7th, 2018, March 8th, 2018, March 29th, 2018, April 4th, 2018, May 3rd, 2018, May 9th, 2018, May 23rd, 2018, July 10th, 2018, July 31st, 2018, August 7th, 2018, August 8th, 2018, August 9th, 2019, August 14th, 20...
Oh.
Wait a minute.
We have typos.
We have a typo here.
Yep. Yep.
So,
two of them.
I am going to go back to where I stated August 9th, 2019. I'm going to adjust that and look for an affirmative nod of August 9th, 2018. And then August 14th, 2018.
Yes. Okay, I'm nodding.
Okay, September 5th, 2018. September 20th, 2018. September 27th, 2018. November 28th, 2018. December 5th, 2018. And December 13th, 2018.
Can you restate your motion, please? I second the motion.
As read.
But as read.
As read, okay.
But for discussion purposes, why are we doing an entire year?
We're trying to catch up with all the meeting notes, and that has come to a point that just
We're correcting some
correcting
deficiencies.
everything. 2018, we're getting caught up, And now you will see a little more frequent.
So it's just
meeting
catch-up
minutes.
is all we're
Yep,
doing?
Yep.
Okay, so I thought, why in the dickens are we doing that? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. They've all been approved now. All right, thank
You may want to give Commissioner Messer the option to abstain.
Oh.
I have to state the record, I abstain, having not attended any of the sessions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And the motion carries still. There we go. And now we're on item 5C, which is the Commissioner's report on work sessions, committee meetings, all that type of stuff they've done over the last week or so. And we'll start with Ty.
Okay. I attended last Wednesday a Department of Homeland Security cybersecurity training all day at the Tilley campus. There was a room full of county employees there, which was great because we learned how interconnected the various technologies and issues are in terms of county business and what the importance is of putting an emphasis on cybersecurity. So it's good to see a great turnout of county employees. I attended on Friday a mayor's forum, the mayor's forum, and it was very interesting because many of the mayors were unable to attend, which left a very small group and I think a much more productive discussion. It was the mayor of Yelm, the mayor of Rainier, and the mayor of Bucota. And so we had a very South County focused discussion, which I think we wouldn't have had the same kind of discussion if it had been attended by everybody. So it was really useful for us to exchange a lot of ideas about what South County issues may be coming up this year. At the TRPC meeting, that's Thurston Regional Planning Council, we had a very interesting report on the Sustainable Thurston Plan, which is a very voluminous but a comprehensive document, kind of a vision for sustainability across a bunch of sectors of our community for Thurston County. And the goal was to, over 2 meetings, give ourselves a report card on how we're doing. This meeting was kind of the big picture, like what were the actual metrics that we wanted to try to reduce energy use or reduce, we had 7 major metrics, and then there's like 350, I believe, action items. So we looked at the big picture metrics this month, and we learned that we're not doing very well on a lot of them. A few of them we're doing better, like such as water usage, but we really, what we're going to do next month is dig into all 350 action items and kind of look at, did the community did we actually try to implement it? And if so, then we know that we failed to get the result from the actions we identified. We need to identify new actions versus an action that we never actually implemented. So kind of finding that difference, and then that'll give us sort of a path forward on long-range planning. So I was pretty excited to see that. The final thing I wanted to report was I attended as a lot director, I attended a meeting of elected officials regarding the sea level rise plan that's been put together by the Port of Olympia, the City of Olympia, and LOT. And I had seen the presentation before, but it was good to see it again and get the feedback of various elected officials on it's a draft plan. I think it's close to final form in terms of an initial document. It's a flexible document that will be able to adapt because we're relying on data that is changing. And so we need a plan that's flexible enough to adapt, and it seems to be structured in that way, which is good. And there's a lot of obviously action items and financial components to discuss, but this was just a starting point for that process, and I was happy to sort of be able to sit there as a director of LOT because it's going to ultimately, I think, have a bearing on Thurston County, even though we're not a formal partner to the plan. That's it for me.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Edwards.
I'm just going to take just a moment to talk about our environment. And I attended a meeting out at Yelm last week, and it had to do with applications of biosolids on property near the Nisqually River. This is regulated by the Department of Ecology. And I find it interesting that here we are in the middle of being very concerned about water quality in general. Specifically now, with the different WIRAs that the county is expected to work with, we've got quality issues and quantity issues. And the reason I'm kind of picking on Department of Ecology today is because now I find that the Department of Ecology oversees the issuance of permits in the headwaters of all of our rivers in the Cascade Range, in which tons of commercial fertilizer are applied by timber industries. And this promotes growth. And now I'm told by those same industries that it's not detrimental to the environment. And now midstream, we've got ecology approving permits to put biosolids, which are basically the bottom line, it's human waste consolidated. A lot of pharmaceutical issues and other chemicals that are in these issues, and now they've got a permit being approved by the Department of Ecology to apply this material right along the Nisqually River, one of our more pristine rivers we're trying to keep as pristine as possible. And then I find out that Department of Ecology also issues permits for the Puget Sound and the mouth of the Nisqually River with pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, and many other side families and other chemicals apparently, to apply these by helicopter again to our shellfish industry properties. So it makes me wonder if water quality is really an issue to the state of Washington. As we seem to talk about it, we're talking about salmon, we're talking about orca. I've talked with scientists from the NOAA project working in the Puget Sound, and I can tell you they feel there's something wrong here. When our regulatory body that often tells citizens, you can't, and now industry is allowed to make these contributions that are detrimental to our environment. And I'd just say, if you have any questions, maybe there's a good read. Toxic Pearl talks about some of the environmental issues that I'm just mentioning. But I'm very concerned that we're not paying attention to our environment, and I just thought I'd take a moment to use this platform to say so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Last Wednesday, I am newly assigned to the WASAC board, and that's the Washington Association of Counties. And out of 39 counties in the state, there was about 26 counties attended in downtown Olympia for this meeting. It's like a 4-hour meeting. And it amazes me that there's a host of issues that face all the counties, and some more so than others. Eastern counties versus western counties, Capital County with Olympia here versus other counties, and with unfunded mandates, and with legislation being passed that's now being challenged in court, with a host of lobbying efforts to reinstate funding that's been removed or begin funding that has never taken place. It's just constant. It's a moving machine. And then on Thursday, I was given a tour by Colin DeForest, the homeless coordinator for Olympia City, of the mitigation site, and we walked through an unmitigated site downtown that was, to be very frank, it was thoroughly disgusting. And it was disgusting from the standpoint of that's how people live. And it was heart-wrenching. And then across the street, it went to a mitigated site that is a huge step up. It's clean, it's orderly, it's policed, and I don't mean policed by police sense or law enforcement, but they have on-site supervision, rule monitors to keep the place orderly and clean, and behaviors, they have rules and such. It was night and day. And then about 2 hours later, I attended the opening of the Plum Street Village downtown at 8th and Plum. And that was even a huger, a much larger eye-opening experience to see these tiny homes it's a large step into a tiny home that eventually designed to end your homelessness. And these are the tiny homes. I think they've got like 29 or so homes there at 8th and Plum behind the Yashiro Gardens. And each one is built by a different organization or voluntary group or a nonprofit. And they are so cleverly done. And they're single beds, double beds, and such. I'm now a big fan, because I hadn't seen it before. I'm a big fan of the tiny villages or tiny homes. And it's along the lines of the Quixote Village. And so that was really cool to see that the last Thursday. Saturday, I attended the Pizza Klatch, and that's KLATCH, annual benefit and gala 2019 event at the Washington Center for the Performing Arts. There was hundreds there must have been 500 or 600 people there easily, and it was fun. It was engaging, but it was also touching, and that is because Pizza Klatch is in many high schools now, as well as they're getting into middle schools here locally, but across the nation. And it is basically a support group for young kids in high school and middle school that are LGBTQ, transitioning, questioning right now, and support for those kids. Because as Alawanjo said, if you drop out of school, you're destined to go nowhere. And the citation I quoted earlier, that if you drop out of school, you're 347 times more likely to be homeless and 7 or 8 times more likely to end up in jail. And what they have found is with the LGBTQ youth, they end up homeless, depression, suicide, dropout rate jacks up, the bullying, victims of assault, substance abuse, STD, alienation from friends and family and social groups and such. And they have been able to document a huge reduction in those negative or diseases of despair, as I'll call it, with the support of mentors in the schools helping these kids along, giving them a voice, people that will listen to them. Because when the youth find that no one's listening to them, they just stop talking. And we have an obligation to help these kids and save them and bring them along. That was the highlight. That and the homeless mitigation sites and tiny homes was a huge highlight for me over the last week. And that's kind of a precursor to this Friday. You're going to talk about Thursday the 7th. Yeah, February 7th. So that's my report. Thank you.
So, thank you, Commissioners. Let me walk you through your combined upcoming schedule for the next week. I will be highlighting my report. It's not working? Okay. Let me begin from the top. Thank you, Commissioners. Let me walk you through your combined schedule for the upcoming week. The appointments that are going to be highlighted in my report is where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars, and those will not be part of my report. Beginning today at 5 in the afternoon, you have a public hearing where you receive public testimony related to changes on the boat speed limit on Lake St. Clair. Wednesday, February the 6th, at 9:30, you have the treatment sales tax advisory committee member appointments briefing. 10 in the morning, you have the Board of Health, an overview and orientation of your role as the Board of Health members. 11:15, you have the opportunity to welcome new employees to the county. And 2 in the afternoon, you have a briefing from the Board of, as related to the Board of Health, related to the maternal child health care. Thursday, February the 7th, 9 in the morning, you have a briefing from the Department of Commerce related to the upcoming 2020 census. And at 10 in the afternoon, you have a day-long planning session where your main focus will be homeless issues. And you will have the opportunity to hear from the cities of Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, as well as county staff. And at the end of the day, you will have the opportunity to have a conversation among yourselves as to what the steps that you would like to take to start addressing this regional issue. And that will take me to next week, Tuesday, February the 12th, nothing on Monday, February the 11th, where we'll convene again and review the agenda for the February the 12th. So if I may, before you consider taking an action to adjourn today's meeting, I'd like to suggest an amendment to that action. And in fact, for you to consider to move to recess the Board of County Commissioners meeting of February 5th, 2019, and reconvene at 5 p.m. for the public hearing. And that was a suggestion by your prosecuting attorney.
So don't adjourn, just recess.
That is correct.
Okay, that's fine with me. Fine with you?
Do I need to make a motion to that effect?
If you can, if I can just move as I stated, that would be.
To recess?
Yeah.
We'll do anything the attorney says. Is that it, Romero?
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, now we're there.
But I think it's the chair's prerogative?
Yeah, you may want to move the motion as I stated for you to vote.
Okay. I would move that we take a recess from now until 5 p.m. this evening when we go back into session for a public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are in recess. Yay.